hope you all ate mindfully and not shoving in grub like some of us in the wings. The next speaker is Michi Naomoto, who is an acupuncturist and herbalist, and who actually studied under Michael McIntyre and has worked with him for a number of years. And she would like to talk to us about prevention rather than cure.
Hi everyone. Hi. Today I want to share with you this very ancient concept of hidden heat. You saw Michael McIntyre earlier on. It made me actually really emotional. Today's been really, really inspirational day for me, and also number of issues, same kind of topics being covered by some of us already. I feel really nice that some of the difficult bits, which I also want to talk about, has been already covered. So I'm going to kick off. Okay, hidden heat is this internalized heat trapped in your body, and this dates back to 2nd century AD. So Chinese doctors observed this as early as 2nd century AD. The initial concept of this, something inside, something is trapped inside that's later on coming out and causing a lot of problems. We are seeing more and more of this kind of cases these days. We call this hidden heat. Lots of other things are also happening, but today I just want to focus on hidden heat. And this links directly to chronic inflammation, which Juliette talked about, and also earlier on, Claire, the GP, talked about non-communicable disease. This is what it's like a plague that is we're succumbing into. So Chinese medicine includes acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine. There's other modalities. We do nutrition in a very different ways to maybe Juliette today. Also, Twina is a form of massage. Chinese medicine is a very old, ancient medical system, but still going and still being developed. And looks at the body and disease from very differently to Western medicine. For example, disease-causing agents in Chinese medicine are called pathogenic factors. And pathogenic factors can be externally contracted, such as in the form of heat, fire, cold, and dampness, or internally generated, such as stagnations and deficiencies. Okay, so who watched Kung Fu Panda? Can anybody give me a definition of qi? Yeah. Do you know, my kids this morning, 7 years old, said, it's the energy that flows through the living things. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. Various attempts being made to translate what this is. And the character, just briefly explain the character. Okay. Okay. Oh, you might not be seeing this against this light. It's okay. The top part is vapor, and the bottom part in the middle is rice. So it's been sort of understood as the steam or vapor that rises from cooking of rice. Okay, so this is a man practicing Qigong. I was in China during my training and spent 6 months there. and I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to perfect my Tai Chi, which I gave up numerous times because I found it quite boring. Since I practice this, I got to do this. Maybe I can feel or I can get something quite profound. I never got that. But anyway, my master thought I was hopeless, so he started teaching me this standing form of meditation called the Qigong. This was even harder. But one thing which was really interesting, he said, you're not going to be able to practice if you have a Qi like this. And it used to puzzle me. When I came back in this country, China is quite a tough place to be. And when I came back to this country, there was another practitioner who, in desperation, I went to see, said the same thing. So I knew I have to sort my Qi out. Anyway, that is a very academic sort of definition. But I think Qi is everywhere. You got Qi, I got Qi. And this is what I assess. When I sit down in front of a patient, I look at that person and I sort of see it, but I don't see it, if you see what I mean. It's a very abstract concept. You can't see it, you can't sort of feel it, it's not something tangible, but you know you got it. And Qi also has spiritual aspect of it, which probably is something I see. I don't always see it. Sometimes I touch on it. But it's really important because you know it probably deep down. Going back to what Nikki Jackson was saying earlier on, you know, you just maybe haven't realized because so much is going on there. Okay, in China, it's really interesting thing with Chinese people, Chinese culture. I'm Japanese, by the way. Is that they have this relationship with the nature. But their concept is slightly unique and different from Japanese ones. They regard human beings with somewhere sort of interconnecting with heaven and earth. This is very unique in Chinese sort of thought mechanism. And because of this, Chinese medicine has this infinite relationship with the nature and the environment that we live in. So if we, like this country, we regard this country being quite damp, then people tend to suffer from damp-related conditions, such as arthritis with swelling, and also phlegmy coughing is another thing. This kind of interrelationship with the nature and environment is really important. Right, we talked about this pathogenic factor, that green fella up there, also has Qi. So when the ancient doctors observed that the pathogenic factor came in through mouth and nose and led to disease. And for example, things like fever, when you get the infection, is sort of understood as a battle between your Qi and pathogenic Qi that is invading. And when this kind of fierce battle goes on, that produces fever. So, lurking pathogen is something that is observed, and more and more we see in this these days. So this is a really important concept. So when people get when your Qi is sort of healthy, strong enough, you can fight and clear off this pathogen. When it's not, or when your lifestyle comes in, you're too busy, you're eating wrong thing, then maybe your Qi is not sort of strong enough against the pathogenic Qi to clear this off. Then the pathogen sort of stays in there, and later on it comes out when this is a bit like talking about immune system, when your Qi is sufficiently weak enough, it comes out to cause problems. I found this kind of concept really unique and interesting in Chinese medicine, that we may be seeing more and more of this kind of cases. And this is the kind of concept of hidden heat, that's often the trapped pathogen or bits of the pathogen, for example, transformed into heat. And this is the basis of many situations that we are seeing in chronic inflammation. So the initial signs of chronic inflammation, my patient might be coming with a set of quite vague symptoms, maybe tiredness and fatigue, heat, sensation of heat, or sometimes malaise, and generalized swelling. Or some people have, often I see this with sort of finger swelling, but it sort of feels tight, but there's no pain. And they might be coming to see me for completely unrelated set of problems, neck ache, lower back ache, or even digestive issues. And there's this sort of vague set of symptoms going on. So, you know, this, in this case, definitely heat is hiding there, lurking. Now, when this goes farther down, there are two stages. There's breaking down the immune system. So on asking more questions, or you progress a little bit farther down the road from there, you can clearly see that some chronic allergies going on, or late onset chronic asthma. Some skin problems like eczema is a really good example. Then it can feed into chronic inflammation. I'm really oversimplifying here, but this has already been covered so far. Autoimmune disease, skin problems, by then the patients are coming to see me with a named condition. And these two things often are ending up as much more serious diseases, such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease is another, and even cancer. Okay, hidden heat is often observed in this the inflammatory processes. So, what's fueling this heat? Talks about externally invading things. So it could be previous exposure to virus and bacteria, medications, sleep, lack of sleep, and also use of devices in bed before you go to bed. That, I think, affects the quality of sleep. So do you note, maybe some of you might have this, you're sleeping 7-8 hours, but not refreshed in the morning. Maybe, you know, do anything to avoid using it. If you need to read it, maybe you get a filter. Better if you don't need to use it. Lifestyle, so lack of activities, stress and anxiety. I think anxiety is the plague of 21st century. We're kind of, anxious in so many different ways, and it's manifesting in so many different ways. Of course, sugar or diet in this case. Okay, so these things are fueling hidden heat. Now, okay, what can we do about it? Actions. There's 3 areas based on my own experience, and again, this is repeating the previous speakers here. Sugar and alcohol probably is, it's interesting. One of my patients said, I can't understand how I can get the same kick I can get from eating, by eating banana. She didn't understand how she could get the same kick she can get from eating Kit Kat. And I think this is very, very, I found that sort of statement really profound, because it signifies this something about this Western culture. We need this kick. We need this high all the time. We need to have this good time all the time. This is really unique in Western culture. Most of probably my friends, maybe your grandmothers won't talk about needing this kick. Do you know what I'm getting at? Yeah? Okay. And then, again, sorry, medication. Take it when it's necessary, but maybe there's something you can do before you move on to medication. Okay. Leo said earlier on about drinking sage tea, was it? Yeah. But you know, culinary herbs in cooking and drinking as a tea is okay, as long as you're not overdoing it, as long as it's okay with you. You know, people have conditions. In that case, you need to avoid certain food and vegetables. Fermented food. I'm Japanese. We eat vast amount of fermented food. Plant-based probiotics are very, very good for your colon. And so please include, well, miso obviously, but if that's tricky, sauerkraut, kimchi. One of my patients told me to do beetroot, fermented beetroot. It's very easy to make. It takes about 2 or 3 days and it starts bubbling up. And so, you know, it's bitter flavor, sorry, next. Someone talked about sweet receptors. Was it you, Juliet? Okay, the taste receptors are not just on your tongue. It's everywhere. This has been already studied. It's everywhere in your body. So think about it. If you, bitter flavor is astringent, okay, and it promotes the gastric juice flow. So it helps your digestion. And in, you know, talking about hidden heat and Chinese herbs, for example, we use bitter herbs to clear this hidden heat. And the bitterness is maybe something lacking in this British diet. I think the more you kind of promote the sweet taste, the more you want them, because that's what your body's used to. Start kind of balancing out, bring the bitterness in. Bitterness is often present in a lot of so-called superfood, cauliflower, asparagus, artichokes, all these things. And there are some conditions you should not be having a lot of cabbage family vegetables. But other than that, I think most people, it's really quite good flavor to start including in your diet. Oh, sorry, I'm just going back. Okay, activity. And Juliet talked about she wanted to be in the nature. Okay, you need to go out, get your chi going. And nature also have chi. Chi is everywhere. So trying to embrace all of that, trying to get the chi going. Sleep and active relaxation. Nikki talked about mindfulness. And I got my chiropractor here today who's constantly telling me to sleep more. And I am guilty of this, but I do practice active relaxation in the form of meditation. Get the noise out of my head. Very useful. I like always backing up what I think about in the Chinese medicine terms with science. And I think that's definitely an important thing to do. Now, a Danish scientist and her team came up, discovered this lymphatic system-like structure deep in your brain called the lymphatic system. This is really, really amazing. This gets turned on during your sleep, and it seems to be cleansing the stuff that we accumulate during the day. Michael McIntyre called this conscious poo. So consciousness has waste products, and if you don't sleep, that's what's happening in your brain. And I understand this accumulated waste products in the brain as the form of hidden heat. All right. One last slide before I finish. Again, this is a new scientist last year. looked at the effect of stress in the formation of chronic inflammation. Okay, and the title is called "The Fire Inside." Okay, so it is burning inside. It's this heat kind of smoldering inside. So you need to think about what you could do to extinguish this heat. Now, the last one. This is really going back to what Jill talks about, I think. Okay, my pledge for you today is to go out and have adventure, whatever that is. It doesn't need to be profound. You need to go out, get your chi going, and have adventure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to ask Michi a question?
I'd like to ask one. I'd like to know, when you were in China, are you seeing more incidents of Western type diseases, lifestyle related diseases, in communities which had a very traditional way of living?
No. The set of diseases were very different. But Western lifestyle is absolutely everywhere, because that's what people are made to believe and aspire for. It's firmly penetrated in Japan, and the whole kind of lifestyle thing is coming. But in China, this is really, I forgot to mention, lifestyle medicine, we have someone from lifestyle medicine, yes. Do you know, as early as 2nd century AD, or even the beginning of first 2,000 years ago, Chinese medicine already had this lifestyle issues. One of the things that they talked about was obviously sleep and the exercise and eating the right kind of food, but inappropriate medication was another, and they were quite obsessed with not having too much sex. So you know, all these things. Yes, but different set of, yeah. But I think now I know things like inflammatory bowel diseases, which was non-existent in China. This is happening in China already. So slowly, I think, you know, diabetes is another, type 2 diabetes and another thing, that it hasn't gone through the whole population yet. The population's not used to it. So, you know, it's like in the Middle East and Asia, the amount of type 2 diabetes incidence is much, much higher. It's suddenly hitting them now. Whereas in the West, we kind of already filtered it through.
Mm-hmm. So basically the answer is that yes, the adoption of a Western lifestyle is affecting.
Yes, I'm maybe thinking that kind of is a, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Julia.
I know that you measured the 2 pulses, I think. Is one of them for chi?
Pulses.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
When
I don't think I included pulse today, but yeah.
It's for chi.
Do you mean measuring chi?
Yeah, so I always remember Michael was talking about the 2 pulses in Chinese medicine.
Right.
Or maybe that's just one of his things.
Yeah, maybe one of his things. I mean, I don't know what you mean by pulses. We take pulses to assess that person's chi.
Yeah.
And, you know, it can be deficient or it can be excess. And usual cases is somewhere in between, and having a mixture of issues. That's what makes Chinese medicine quite complicated.
Any other questions? Michi and Dave, would you like to come up?
before you sort of rearrange and get yourself comfortable again, I just want to get you to feel your muscles. Just feel around you, maybe your stomach, maybe your bottom, maybe your legs. Just have a feel. Give yourself a couple of minutes just to feel. What's it feel like? Is it soft? Is it hard? Give yourself a cuddle. It's always nice, isn't it? Ultimately, when we sat down for long periods of time, some of our muscles just go to sleep for far too long, and actually that can affect our posture. So we're going to do some really simple activation exercises which you can do at work or even now. So as Michi said earlier, if we can draw that line up, bring our chest into a seated position so that our chest is upright and our back's nice and tight. I just want you to feel your stomach. Mine's quite soft at the moment. So what we're going to do, might be overeating, I don't know, but it is quite soft. From there, I just want you to see if you can actually suck in your belly button, like you're almost putting on a really tight pair of trousers. So if you can breathe in, suck in your belly button, hold it, and then just breathe out, but keep your belly button sucked in. Really hard? Some of you will find that really easy, some of you will find that really hard. But if you can see, I've still got my belly sucked into that position, and I can still talk and breathe naturally. And all we're doing is activating our core. You can breathe out now and relax. It's a really simple exercise which you can do just when you've got a couple of seconds to reactivate your muscles when you're sitting down. So let's just do it one more time. Take a nice deep breath in. Pretend you're putting on those trousers that are far too tight for you. Hold it. Suck your belly button in. Breathe out. Keep your belly button there. If you want to talk to the person next to you or just breathe out, you can do. Make sure we can keep our stomach in that position. A bit hard? Yeah, it's really. And relax, okay. The other thing that a lot of people get really bad backs for is their bottom. Their buttocks go to sleep, sat in this position, and ultimately that's why a lot of people get bad backs. So, you're going to see if you can activate your bottom. So you can have a few raised eyebrows now. So all I want you to do is literally squeeze your bottom together. Hold it, 3, 2, 1, relax. Up again, hold it. Yeah, there's a few raised eyebrows, yeah, it's all looking a bit weird, I know. But it's, again, a really simple exercise which you can do on your chair. You can relax now, sorry. We could hold that for at least a couple of minutes. But it's a really simple exercise which you can do just to reactivate your glutes or your bottom. So that's activating two very major muscles in your body, okay, to help you get back pain, especially if you're sitting at a desk a lot. But also what is really important about activating your muscles is actually mobilising your joints. So if you've got room, and obviously not too close to the next person next to you, all I want you to do is some thoracic twists. So if you can, if you've got room, just stick your hands up at a right angle like so, and we should be able to turn as far as you can, look in the opposite direction, back to the middle, keeping our head and our chin in line as we spoke about earlier, and to the other side. Don't just do it twice, keep doing it. It's an active exercise. I'm sorry if you're very close to other people. It is a mobilised exercise. As Michi was saying earlier, it helps increase the synovial fluid in our joints, making it more supple. We're just going to do a very easy one now, but I know we're running out of time a little bit. Just put your hands to the side and actually mobilise the lumbar spine as well. So sit on the edge of your chair like so, hands to the side. All we're going to do is reach down as far as we can. This one's a little bit easier. I should have, if we all go that way, it makes less. And then back to normal. Again, back to the other side. Get those lighters out again. Back to normal. And just keep doing it. If you do this sort of a dozen times, absolutely fantastic. If you do some if you get to do some activation exercises on your muscles and mobilising your joints every 20 minutes while you're at the desk, you're more likely to have be preventative of the back pains and any injuries. So I'm going to leave you there while we get off stage.